Okay. Hi. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in today. For those of you who do not know me or have not interacted with me earlier, though I see few familiar names and few students of mine already in the webinar, my name is Surbhi Kumar and I am the founder and the chief mentor at the Dreamcatchers. So I like to take this opportunity before we get into the session to just talk a little bit about our organization, the Dreamcatchers, and how do we really help high school students and beyond. We are an education consulting firm, though we are based out of Mumbai, but we serve students pan India and also in Middle East. Our mission is very clear. We want to assist and help students in realizing their dream of obtaining quality and best fit education. And exactly, you would wonder that how do we facilitate that or how do we do that? So for grade 9th and grade 10th students, the key need is that they select the right subjects, right stream. And for grade 11th and 12th, they are shortlisting right colleges on the basis of, again, the right course or courses. So we help that cohort primarily through our services, which you see here on the left side, which is conducting a psychometric assessment test. But having said that, psychometric assessment is just a tool and it's a starting point for us. But please keep in mind that any tool should be administered in the right environment and in the right way to get the right results. But what we really utilize this psychometric assessment for is to get the understanding of students' aptitude together with having visibility into their academic grades through their mark sheets and all, their work interest area and their personality. But again, as I said, it's just a tool, so we use it just as a starting point. But through our customized and personalized conversational and counseling sessions, we provide an entire, I would say, insight to the student in terms of discovering various career options, diving deeper into what that career is all about, and giving guidance around it. Wherever there is a need, we help in preparing a detailed action plan with helping around what kind of short-term programs or certifications or summer schools they can enroll, and also providing details around the educational and career pathways to achieve their shortlisted career goal. Uh, that's one part of our services. Then we also help students in the higher education admission guidance, uh, both outside India and within India, as some of you would be familiar that new age universities have a slightly different process than just the entrance exams. So we do the hand holding for the student there as well, so that they get into that process much more confident. Okay. Now, depending upon the country the student finally shortlist, there are multiple aspects involved. So as needed, we help the student in assessing their profile, elevating it to an extent to really put a compelling profile in front of the admissions officers and doing it in a very, very authentic way itself. We also help students in finding the right fit college for them and create the college list accordingly. And as many of you would be familiar that especially for international admissions and in countries like US, the process is much more than just like having your providing your marks or any kind of academic or standardized test. You also have to answer a few essay prompts, you may have to write a statement of purpose, and you may have to get a recommendation letter from your recommenders. So again, we provide assistance there too. And the goal is again that the child puts the most compelling application in their own voice. Of course, education is becoming expensive. So wherever there is a possibility, we help in the scholarship as well, putting the external scholarship application, putting the college scholarship related documents, and sometimes you may have to provide certain other details where we assist the child. Interview preparation, wherever there are like mock interviews and even mini presentations, we do assist there as well. For visa, we have collaborated with visa experts, and from our end, we provide visa guidance in the beginning itself, so the child is ready, especially if they are targeting international, destinations. So that was about our firm and our services. Now let's get started with the session. But given it's a Sunday morning and majority of our audience is students, I also see that there are a couple of parents as well with whom I have interacted earlier. So just to get started, I have put a warm-up quiz on the screen. I would encourage all of you to put your responses either in the chat or a Q&A box, which you will see, and I will be the one who would be receiving your responses. Okay, so the first question is, what is the minimum age to get a commercial pilot license in India? And the second one is, which country has the highest percentage of female pilots? Okay. Yeah, please put in your responses either in, okay, great. Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. So in the interest of time, let me give you the answers here. So in terms of age, it's 18 years. And this one, you would be pleasantly surprised that it's not Australia. Some of you wrote Canada. It's actually India. So India has 12 point, just to be precise, 12.4% of the pilots as the female pilots. And, the average is actually 5% across the world. Okay. So I do see couple of female students as well in this session. So I hope you are pleasantly surprised by the statistics. Okay, so moving on, I just want to set the right context that why really we thought of conducting this career awareness webinar on commercial pilot, because of course I was seeing a lot of interest from young people or young students around this profession. But more than that, when we do our own analysis, we do see what are the job prospects. Would this profession be in demand in next 5 to 10 years? And I can just summarize everything with just this one snippet from ET Insights. And it's not like it's from late 90s or early 2000s. It's actually the most recent one. So as you can see that India will need almost 11,000 additional pilots by 2030. And this is something which also highlights the gap which we have currently, right? So we are in shortage of almost 2,400 pilots over the next 5 years, and this gap may increase as well. Now, as you would be reading in the news these days, a lot of airports, even in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, are getting built up. If we just talk about India, so that's one aspect. And even worldwide as well, you can see there are a lot of air connections which are getting established too. So we need skilled and seasoned people to, fly us as well. Okay. So with that, I am very pleased to welcome Anubhav to our fireside chat today. Hey, Anubhav, you might have to adjust your camera
Okay.
a little bit. Okay. Yeah, now we can see you.
So sorry. I can't see myself though. I mean, the screen is
I
all
will,
over.
yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Let me stop
Okay. Yeah, this
sharing.
is great.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome, Anubhav. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi. Namaste and good morning, everyone. Thanks to all of you to hear me out today. And I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Surbhi. Thank you, Dreamcatchers, for this wonderful opportunity. I hope I can help today.
Totally our pleasure. And I'm pretty sure with the insights which the students would get today, it would really help them make an informed choice around this profession. So before we get into the fireside chat and the questions which I would want to ask you, I would also want to tell our audience that they can also ask their questions. You can put your questions either in the Q&A or chat box. I will be the one who would receive it. Or if you would want to go live with your questions, just let me know. I will enable your settings accordingly. And second thing, I would want to apologize that there is some issue with my internet connection today. So you may face some lag, but I'm still hoping that you can hear me fine. And at least Anubhav's side, I don't see any internet issue. So
Yeah.
his responses would be very clear. So I want to apologize for that. With that, let's first take this opportunity to maybe hear your story. Anubhav, introduce yourself to our students here. And as I said in the start, there are a few parents as well. And then maybe you can tell us what really inspired you to become a pilot.
Yes. So hi, I am Anubhav Maheshwari. I am currently flying as a line training captain with Akasa Air. If you heard of Akasa Air, that's a airline based out of Bangalore. It's about 3 years old. So one of the newest airlines of India, and fortunately, one of the fastest growing airlines too, as per world standards. So they are doing great, and it's a great opportunity. I love flying with them. So I started back in 2005 with my commercial pilot license. And thank you, Surbi, for introducing this concept, oral understanding of a commercial pilot license and what does it help you with. So I started in 2005. I was in my class 12. And this is the common dilemma that everyone faces. And as you just said, that Dreamcatchers is trying to simplify this current dilemma. It starts off in class 10, 9 and 10. That's when you start thinking about your future. You start thinking about your 11th and 12th grade, what you want to pursue in terms of science or maths or arts or commerce, and all these things start coming to your head. You start thinking about engineering or some other line in general, and this is a big confusion. And that's what even I went through. I finished my 10th in 2002, and that is when we just sat down and my dad advised and counseled me about this. It's like, well, we got to start thinking about your career, because that is the time that you are in a different mood altogether, and you are just about in your teens, and you would want to let the school life continue and have fun. So then ninth and 10th is when the seriousness kicks in, and then you have to start figuring out what do you do next. And this is the question that was actually asked by my father. And well, I was apt because I didn't know what to answer. And I said, okay, let me get back in a few days. Let's think about something and come down to a decision.
Yeah.
And so we took our time, and I could come up with engineering. I could come up with something to do with masters eventually and become an engineer or become a architect, or maybe something else altogether. Maybe I was interested in sports. I would probably pursue something in sports. But then, of course, academics are different. So my father had this in mind. He actually proposed that I become a pilot.
Okay.
So it was a pure career decision. And he floated the idea. I, of course, liked it, loved it, because that is what the sound of being a pilot sounds like, you know. So I took up this opportunity. We, in fact, started getting to know more about it. Internet was not that great back 20 years ago. You know, you didn't have much of an information back then. So you had to actually physically start looking into the nitty-gritty of such kind of a profession, which we had no one in contact who was in aviation or in piloting as such. So then we had to start from scratch. And that's when we visited a few flying schools. And that is what is important. So flying clubs, flying schools, aviation academies, they are spread all over the country, all over the world. India has a fair share of flying schools. Every city in general has a few flying schools. I'm from Hyderabad. Hyderabad has got 3 to 4 flying schools. And that is where we actually ended up going in Bowenpalli. That's the area north of the city airport. And there we found out that, well, 10th is a little too early. to be enrolling into a commercial pilot license course. And that is when we found out that 12th is a minimum to start with a commercial pilot license. So they actually term it as a minimum qualification of 10 plus 2, that's 12. And along with that, 18 years of age. So as you mentioned earlier, 18 years of age is what they are looking for too. So that is when we waited for a couple of more years. And when I finished my 12th in maths and physics, we approached the academy and I started off with my commercial pilot license course. So yeah, that is my journey. And then eventually I finished my course in about 2 years' time, 2007. And in a month's time, I was employed by Jet Airways,
Amazing.
the legacy carrier that we had in India, which actually, unfortunately, shut shop. They actually had to shut down due to financial trouble in 2019. So I was associated with them for over 12 years. I've flown 3 types of aircrafts in my career with them. Started on with the turboprop aircraft, the ATR. It's a French aircraft. I'm sure most of us have seen or flown in one. It's the aircraft, the little one with fans. It's got those turboprops, propellers. And I was there for about 4 years on that. Then I started flying the wide body. It's called the Airbus 330. We start flying all around the world, right from the Far East to the West, all the way to USA and Canada, down south to South Africa, and all the way up to Russia as well. So that was a great experience as well. And I was flying as a co-pilot on these 2 aircrafts. And then I upgraded as a captain. So there are a minimum requirement set by the company, and that is what you qualify. And then you become a captain, you finish the training and get released as a captain to fly online. And that happened in 2017. And then until Jet survived. So 2 years there as a captain. And then I had a opportunity to move to Dubai with Emirates Airlines. So I was there for a very short while because unfortunately in 2020, when COVID happened, we had to return back. So came back, a bit of a hardship because I had to stay home for a year and a half. The market was such, employment was a bit hard at that time. And so I had to stay put in Hyderabad and renewed my licenses to just be current with the industry. And then 2022 is the time when I joined Akasa as a captain, upgraded as senior captain, and now eventually I am a line training captain. A line training captain actually teaches captains and co-pilots to actually fly the plane what Akasa has got. So we have got a Boeing 737 MAX aircraft. It's about a 200-seater aircraft. In comparison to Indigo, you must have seen those Indigo's airplanes. They are Airbuses. Boeing is an American airplane. And we fly those. We have about 28 aircrafts and around 250 aircrafts on order. So this is what Akasa is about. Yeah, this is me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the introduction and also taking our audience through your journey. Definitely, you touched upon couple of things which I would also want to highlight. Especially, you said around the age requirement and even the subject requirement. Okay.
Yes.
One thing which still stays as of now, which is that you need maths and physics, but back in April this year itself, I don't know how it will materialize, but that's something which has come up and it's still up for discussion. That in terms of subject requirements, there might be certain relaxation. Even students from humanities background, commerce background, who might have studied or been exposed to maths during the 4 years of their high school, they could still go ahead and apply. But this is something which hasn't been finalized, at least for this admission cycle yet. we are still waiting for the confirmations. But that's something which I wanted to mention, because students are thinking about their subject choices, or maybe coming from, non-sciences background. So there may be a good news hidden for you, maybe years
Absolutely.
to come there.
So this is what the DGCA, the Director General of Civil Aviation, that's the regulatory body. They have actually floated this idea. It is still not confirmed, as in it is not documented yet, but it is in implementation stage, I would say. So, as you rightly
Okay.
said, Surbi, in April there was a news about this, that maths and physics are not the only subjects that you will be confined to in order to pursue to become a pilot. And they said arts and commerce also will be allowed, because your high school maths and physics and sciences are good enough as a foundation to become a pilot. So this is great news because it does not restrict you. Earlier, I remember my friends who were from arts and commerce backgrounds eventually had to go to open universities, open colleges, and give their maths and physics just to qualify the minimum requirement to become a pilot. But thankfully, yes, there is a silver lining there, that the government is really thinking about it. And yeah, that'll open up a lot of opportunities for and it'll be simpler now, because earlier you had to go through the pain of giving your maths and physics even though you had finished a full authorized and approved course from the government. So this is a great step.
Okay. Thanks for providing some insights, even from the DGCA side, because we were just reading on the news,
Right.
in the news,
Right.
and really we don't know when it would really get implemented, because that's something which still remains unanswered, at least in the public news per se, as such.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, let me move on to my next question. And I have actually received two questions already from the students, but I'll
Okay.
try to first cover few of mine, and then
Yeah,
I'll pick theirs.
yeah.
So just help us understand, Anubhav, what's the typical day or a typical week like, especially for an entry level commercial pilot. I know things would change over time when you progress in your career, but as soon as you get your license, you start flying, you start your professional journey, what can you expect in day-to-day basis and over a week basis?
Yes. So Surbi, this primarily depends on the airline operations. Okay. So airlines differ in sizes, in terms of fleet, in terms of networks, in terms of the number of pilots they have. So all these are the variables that you're looking at. So in general, if you're looking at an airline like Air India, or an airline like Indigo or an Akasa, they differ in fleet sizes. Fleet size in the sense the number of aircrafts they have. And
Okay.
like Akasa has got only medium haul aircrafts. Medium haul in the sense the Boeing 737 that I spoke about can fly for a maximum range of 6 to 6.5 hours only. Okay. Whereas Air India has got wide body Boeings and Airbuses. Those are the bigger planes that fly non-stop 16 hours as well. So,
Okay.
so now it depends on the company's operations and what the pilot is rated to fly, which kind of aircraft. So, as of today, if I talk about an airline like Akasa, where I am employed, uh, uh, a co-pilot in general, we'd be talking about an entry-level pilot. A co-pilot, training co-pilot, once you start flying, you are probably looking at a 6 to 7 day week. So that is, so there are rules and regulations in terms of flight duty time limitations. So you have limitations because a pilot has to manage certain amount of work, and that comes with a certain amount of rest as well, because resting and not being fatigued or not being overstressed with physical or mental stress is a very big factor in aviation. So there are rules and regulations from the regulator DGCA. So that allows a pilot to fly 7 days in a row. So you could be flying, in the sense you could be doing flights each day for 7 days in a stretch.
Okay.
However, the airline decides to have filters to that. So as of today, I fly 6 days and I have a 2 day off. So I don't follow a
Okay.
7 day week, as in a weekend and a weekday. I follow a 6 day pattern, 6 days and 2 days off. And now the flying on those 6 days can be dependent on what the airline wants you to do. We usually get our rosters, we get our plan of flying a month in advance. Like the last week of the previous month, I get a plan for the next month. So now I know throughout the month, where am I going to be, what flights am I going to fly, and what are my days off.
Okay.
Right. So this is what a typical pattern of flying would be for a pilot, a co-pilot or a captain with the airline. Now, a typical day, day would be dependent on how many flights are you doing that day, and
Okay.
are you going to end up in a different city for a night stop, or you would return back to the home city or base city, right, the same day. So this also is dependent on the company's requirement. So today you could be actually flying just a single one sector from A to B and end up in B for a night stop. Or maybe
Okay.
you can do 3 sectors today, like go A to B to C and back to A, and end up back at home in the evening, or if you're starting early in the morning or late in the night. So this is all dependent on the company's requirement. How are they managing with the number of pilots they have, with the number of aircrafts they have, and where do they need you on that certain day? Thankfully, you know it
Got
in
it.
advance, so you can plan better. There is a good work-life balance because you know where you will be, and you can, if you have some personal agendas to take care of at home, you know you could do it on certain days, that way. So that is probably more or less what a pilot schedule is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So certainly flying is the most important. One second, excuse me. I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay.
So what I was asking, that definitely flying is the most important part of the job, or that is the core of the job, right?
Yes.
But what are the other roles and responsibilities which one should be aware of, especially like students should be aware of, that besides flying, what all is also required as a part of a pilot's life?
Uh, so, so piloting is not just about flying the airplane. Like, it's not that you are in the cockpit and sitting on your seat and actually flying the plane. You take off from a place, land at a second place, you pick up your bags and step out. So there is a lot going into it from the start to finish. So be it training, be it on the job, being hands on with a few other things that are required for the safe conduct of the flight. So before you can actually become a line first officer, a co-pilot, or a captain, there is a lot of training involved in the pipeline, and this training is actually after your CPL. So the CPL is the basic, is the bare minimum license required, just like your driver's license. You would require a driver's license to ride or drive a car or ride a bike. So the license is the bare minimum. Once you are eligible, you can obtain a license, and then you can actually be inducted for a job in an airline. But now the license actually has given you is given to you on basis of a small aircraft. You're flying a small aircraft at the flying club, at the flying institute that I spoke about initially. So you get a license. Now you have to fly a bigger aircraft like an ATR, Airbus, or Boeing. So if you're approaching an airline like Akasa, and you wish to be employed with them, the airline is now responsible to get you trained on a Boeing aircraft, because that's the aircraft you are eventually going to fly. So the foundation, just like we talk about, a CPL is required to start off, get your license, and now the airline is responsible to get you trained on a bigger aircraft so that you can start flying that now. So that starts off with simulator trainings. We have simulators that actually simulate an actual aircraft, because an aircraft flying has a lot of normal and non-normal aspects to it, because you are always have to be ready for contingencies on an aircraft, be it as basic as some technical fault to something serious like an engine failure, so these can't be trained or understood on a real aircraft. So we have simulators to simulate such situations and such kind of problems on the aircraft. You first finish a simulator training and get an aircraft certification on your CPL. So now on the CPL, you're ready to fly a Boeing aircraft. And that's when you switch over to actual flying the aircraft. And that's when trainers like me and my friends, my colleagues in the airline come into picture, that we train you to fly the aircraft while sitting on an actual commercial flight. So the non-normal aspect is taken care in a simulator, and the normal aspect is taken care in the actual aircraft. And once you finish both the training successfully, that is when you are released as a line first officer or a line co-pilot or a line captain. So a normal day-to-day flight, as you show up to work, it is just not that you would get a simple flight paper saying that, okay, you got to go today from Bangalore to Hyderabad, and you just are off to the airplane and you take off. So there is a lot of preparation that goes into every flight. You start off with the weather for today. Like, what's the weather about? Are we expecting something? How's the departure weather? How is the destination weather? And if you can't end up going to the destination because of some marginal weather conditions, what is my alternate airport plan today? How far is the alternate airport? How much fuel do I need to carry today? How much fuel are we planning to uplift today that makes the flight go smoothly? And then if there is something that is not allowing us to land at the destination airport, can we divert to a secondary airport? So fuel considerations, weather considerations, airport considerations. Like today is Bangalore has 2 runways, but are both the runways open for departures today, or is only one runway operational today? And if the only one runway is operational, do I need to cater for extra fuel because now I'll take longer for takeoff? Because we've always seen that, okay, you have a 10 o'clock departure time for your flight, but you're already taking off at 10:30. And what the reason is? Because at an airport, also with aircraft, you actually have a traffic jam, because there could be something wrong with the airport today, or they have some maintenance activity, or some issue that has come up. So this consideration also is a pilot's responsibility. So the captain and the co-pilot sit down together and understand these factors today. That is everything okay with the airport too? Then comes the aircraft. So I look at my aircraft status today, like just like as basic as a car. You would sit in your car, and if you just switch on the car and you can see a red light in front of you that says low oil or a fuel light. So it is as basic as that, but transferred to an airplane which has very, very much complex systems. So what is the aircraft status today? And then if the aircraft status is okay, acceptable to the captain and co-pilot, and that is when you decide that, okay, now I'm probably ready for the flight. And that is when you head to the aircraft. You get to the aircraft, you physically check the aircraft from outside and inside. So you do a physical check of the aircraft, you get in the cockpit, check the systems in the aircraft, everything is as per the minimum standard set by the company, safety wise. And that is when you are ready for the flight. That is when you give a okay thumbs up, and then the boarding starts and the passengers get in, and that's when you're ready for takeoff. So there is a bit of a structure and a bit of a preparation before every flight that goes into it. And at certain days, you would be doing 4 flights in a row. You would be doing 4 flights back to back. So that's what I'm getting to, that uh, before and after the job, there is a lot of involvement by the pilots, so that the flight can be conducted safely as per the company's standards. So, am I answering what you asked for?
Certainly, I think that's the visibility which the students need to get, that beyond just like being in the air and flying, what all it involves as such.
Yes. Because the things are getting complex, because the airplane's complex, the airport environments are complex, the radio and communications that we do are a little complex in nature too. So with the right training and with the right dedication, is you can achieve such complexities, and that is what a bit of a gist of aviation, I must say.
Understood. So I
Yeah.
think this might be a good segue to even get an understanding of, like, besides the technical skills, Anubhav, which is needed. What do you think are the right skills and right competencies which a student should really develop to really thrive in this career and feel like they are the right fit for it?
I feel first and foremost is discipline. So with discipline, it's a very broad spectrum, because discipline involves punctuality, discipline involves dedication, uh, the love for what you're doing. All that has to be inculcated a little early in life, so that you can actually adhere to the demands of the profession. As basic as punctuality, because here everything is by the clock. You have certain times for, you have a fixed time for every task. You would sit in the car to go to work at a fixed time, because the car will be at your doorstep at that fixed time. You're expected to be in the car because now you have a 35-minute drive to the airport, and there you have to reach in time, because there you have to go for your you have to check in for you at work, and then I report at a certain time before my departure time. In Akasa, it is 75 minutes before departure. So 1 hour 15 minutes to departure, I am expected to be at my office ready for my documentation and briefing. So, and then obviously you have to take off on time or before time. So everything is by the clock. Everything that we document is, everything is in time. So the discipline starts from right in the beginning. If you start off 5 minutes late early in the morning for your first flight, eventually the schedule is packed such that you would end up delaying the subsequent and consequent flights. So there there it is. And secondly, as I said, talking about dedication for your job, so it's a demanding job with odd working hours. If you are not a morning person, if you're not a late night person, all this will be a issue, because you will have to start adapting yourself better. Invariably, as a passenger, you want the best connectivity to travel around. If you're going for an international flight, you would want it to go on time, be it at 2 a.m. or be it at 11 a.m. So if the industry is of course customer driven. What the customer demands is what the industry has to provide. So you are a part of that industry, which should ensure that the passenger gets what it is paying for. So now, if it's a 2 o'clock departure, 2 a.m. departure, you're actually starting for work at 11:30 in the night. So, and you would probably end up from your working schedule at sometime in the afternoon. So, uh, the dedication towards your job, that is what is more important now, because you have to understand, why did you become a pilot? Well, this is what I become a pilot for, the love for flying. So, so dedication again. So yeah, you have to understand what are you looking at overall in becoming a pilot. These little things will stop mattering, because the love for the job will be a bigger factor then, you know. And along with that, I totally understand there's a lot of study involved, because this is a totally different subject to what you have been studying in your high school and your college in your 11th and 12th. The studies here are a bit different to the regular high school study. It is more specific into aviation. There are subjects for CPL that you will actually start studying for your license, and they involve more of meteorology, like weather. They involve more of technical aspects of the aircraft, specific aspects of the particular aircraft you're going to fly, a lot about instruments on the aircraft, a lot about engines, a lot about aerodynamics. So that study continues all your life till the time you're flying as a pilot. Even as of today, after 20 years of flying, I still have to go back to my books and keep brushing up on basics, because that is required in everyday flight. And also, we are getting tested for our skills every 3 to 6 months. I I go back in the simulator every 6 months to brush up on my non-normal normal competencies. On the aircraft, I have some checks and tests, so that you are in line with the latest, you are in line with the safety aspects, what the company needs to adhere to by the regulator. So there is a constant study involved. So again, that dedication has to come in, that you have to keep brushing up your skills, brushing up your knowledge, brushing up your overall as advanced. So it's not that easy as it sounds, but then once you get into this profession, then it falls in place, I must say.
Got it. So thank you so much for that. And I would take few audience questions as well.
Sure, ma'am.
One was from Sanyukta, but that's something which I am about to cover. But she has asked one more point related to it. So my
Yeah.
question to you, Anubhav, is every profession has some rewards, right? So if you can touch upon the rewards of this profession, uh, I would say financially as well as others, and even from a financial standpoint, what is the starting salary which someone can expect? And that's the specific question from Sanyukta is, what's the starting salary, and is a female pilot paid differently than a male pilot?
Okay. Yeah. So this, well, rewards and perks of being a pilot. First and foremost is, I'll tell you that the view from the cockpit is excellent, amazing. So looking at a sunrise and a sunset every day is not something that you would see. So I live to fly for that view. Certainly is. Sitting at the back as a passenger, you would probably see it from the side window, but here I've got the whole view to myself, and it is beautiful out there. So that is the first and foremost reward that I get every day, and that keeps me going to work every day. So yeah. And in terms of remuneration, in terms of the salaries as a pilot, so I would start off saying, again, it will be dependent on the airline, dependent on where you're working for, which kind of an airline. Like in India, we have certain smaller airlines too. which have only regional connectivities. As you were mentioning in the introduction, that they fly to tier 2 and tier 3 cities only. That would be a smaller airline. So they would probably, on an average, pay you a little lesser. But whereas a full-fledged airline like Indigo, Akasa, or Air India would be competitive in payments. Okay, as to start off as a trainee first officer, and eventually as a line release first officer, one could actually see a remuneration of about 2 lakhs a month.
Okay.
That is an average that I would say. The numbers are, of course, available on the internet. You can just Google it up. That is for India to start off with a 0-hour co-pilot. So the averages range about 2 lakh rupees.
Okay.
And along with the perks, if you talk about as an airline, they would certainly offer the pilot free travel on its aircrafts, on its network. And along with that, I get heavily discounted travel for my family as well. And not to add, and also to add that, of course, you have medical insurances, which you can actually pay up a little more and get top ups on the same. You have insurances for your dependents, for your children, for your parents, along with they have the provident fund facilities. So the airline also invests in your provident fund. That actually eventually is something for your retirement plans. There is gratuity involved. I mean, a little more technical, but then yes, these are the numbers. These are what the airline also adds in for your retirement funds, or eventually if that's the money they actually give you. So it's called the CTC, the cost to company. So that involves all these numbers. So in general, to just say it out, that 2 lakhs is the number.
And second part of Sanyukta's question, are female pilots paid lesser than male pilots?
Yes. So ma'am, the thing is, as of today, in today's age, the disparity that we knew about back in the days of a male and a female employee, or as a male or a female pilot, there may be some disparity outside aviation, but in aviation, everyone's an equal. So there is nothing to do with are you a female pilot or a male pilot. A pilot is looked in general. You are filling a position as a co-pilot or a captain, and you're doing the same job as your male companion or a female companion would do. So there is no disparity at all. I'm glad you highlighted that India has got the maximum number of female pilots. And trust me, female pilots they are not just pilots in the airline, they are actually at the topmost managerial positions also in an airline like Akasa, and so be it in other airlines too. So it is the aviation is an equal opportunity employer, and there is no disparity in terms of remuneration, in terms of opportunities to upgrade or get better with time and experience. So there is no disparity, just to be clear.
Great, wonderful. So I hope,
Yeah,
Sanyukta, that makes you happy and more interested in this career. Okay,
absolutely.
so
I mean, Akasa, specifically Akasa, I'm not promoting Akasa in any way. It's just that I am associated with the airline, so I know better about it. Akasa has been very proactive in supporting and promoting female pilots. In fact, our airplanes get ferried in the sense our airplanes are American. So when you buy a new airplane, those airplanes have to flown from America all the way to India. And Akasa has been sending only female pilot crew to bring their airplanes back, to just tell the world that what they're doing. So you can see a captain and a first officer, both female, flying from the US all the way to India. And well, yeah, that's what Akasa is doing, and that's what people in the industry do. There is no bias. There is no nothing against any of the any of the gender. There is no gender bias, I must say. Yes.
Great. So, Tanmay and Rajiv, I will take your questions shortly, but let me first move on to the other important aspect because we discussed rewards and our goal is to see both sides of the coin. So, Anubhav, if you can also touch upon some of the challenges which are there in this profession, and as we were discussing just before the fireside chat or this webinar itself, that
Mm.
there is, glamour associated with this career. So, if someone needs a reality check, they also need to know what could be the challenges. Some I know we may infer, we may know what it is, but hearing from you would really help the students out here.
Yeah. So challenges in the sense that uh, this is the first thing that comes to our mind, that he's a pilot, or he earns a lot of money, you know. So but you have to understand what goes behind, in the hindsight of becoming a pilot in general, you know. So there's a lot of hard work, there's a lot of money that has to be invested in becoming a pilot. And once you successfully become a pilot and get hired by an airline to fly their planes, that is when you start looking at these numbers, that you're earning so much and so much. So to start off, as of today, becoming a pilot is in the range of like just a CPL on a single engine aircraft. That is the basic CPL that you're looking at. Uh, Getting a CPL in India probably costs about 50 to 60 lakh rupees. So that's the amount of money you have to invest in just getting a commercial pilot license. And that license is not a guarantee for you to get a job. It is just a basic qualification. When the airline wants to hire pilots, you could have 20 pilots applying with a CPL, but the airlines only want 5 that day. So then the competition comes in. And you, after investing so much amount of money, you still will have to wait for the right time and opportunity to get onto a job. Things have been bad earlier in the days, like 2010 there was a recession, 14 there was one, later on a few airlines had shut. So what happens is the number of aircrafts clearly equates to the number of pilots required. That is what it is. You were showing an article from ET now that showed that India needs thousands of pilots because the reason is there are so many aircrafts on order by Indian airlines that will create jobs. But then you have to understand that it is a fierce market, that if the airline need 5,000 pilots in the next 10 years, but do you have 5,000 pilots? You probably have 7,000 pilots, but only 5,000 are going to be employed. Then what about the rest 2,000 who have invested so much amount of money just to wait for the right time? So then this is a very major factor involved. When COVID happened, the biggest of the airlines couldn't hire pilots. Experienced pilots were actually unemployed because of the situation, and because the airlines were going through so much losses, because passengers wouldn't fly on aircrafts. If the aircrafts are not flying, then they had to actually lay off pilots and other staff. So situation also did play a role. Recession does play a role. Airlines growth plays a role. So it is all directly proportional. The number of aircrafts an airline gets is the number of pilots they require. You would get a CPL, investing a certain amount of money, probably everyone is capable of, but then it does not guarantee you a job. If you are applying for a job, every one of you have the same qualification of a CPL, And now it depends on how good do you do in an airline interview, in an airline group discussion, in an airline aptitude test. So there are a little more challenges after a CPL too. So all I'm trying to say is that the challenge is that a CPL does not guarantee you a job. You have to keep working, and that's when your dedication comes in. So that is the biggest challenge that I see. And your journey does not end, your training journey does not end once you get a CPL. There is something more after CPL that you have to go through that an airline would probably demand for. The airline's requirements, the minimum qualifications that they expect from a pilot are out in the open. It is on a website of the airline on a careers tab. You can always see what are they looking at at a minimum CPL holder to have addition to the CPL to meet the bare minimum requirement to get inducted in an airline. As I said, CPL could be on a single engine airplane. Then you would actually have to fly a smaller twin engine airplane, which has got two engines. And you will have to invest a little more money to get that twin engine on your CPL too. And just like any other industry, this industry also works on supply and demand. So if there is demand, then it's a great day. If the demand declines, then it's a bad time because India currently probably has about 22 from the start. From the start, let me just go back to the start when the first CPL was issued to today, 2025. I think there are about 23,000 CPLs issued, ballpark number. And of course, CPLs eventually get converted to a higher license called the ATPL, Air Transport Pilot License. To become a captain, that's the license you require. To start off as a co-pilot, you require a CPL. So the number of licenses being issued as of today is clearly way higher than the number of pilots employed. So there is a clear disparity in the number of licenses issued that gives you a fair idea that there could be a few or many pilots who are not on the job because it's a fierce market and the airlines will choose the best.
Okay.
So the investment that you make getting a CPL would cost you about 50 to 60 lakhs. A multi-engine rating above that would cost you about 6 to 8 lakhs more. So you're looking at a good investment of 70 lakh rupees. And that still does not guarantee a job. You will have to still work hard towards it.
Okay, great.
And
Thank you.
keeping in mind the airline environment, the airline demand, that is a major factor too. Yeah,
Understood.
right.
So, Anubhav, I have been receiving questions again. So, I think Rajiv, your question gets answered around what would be the average fees to get the CPL. Now I
Yeah,
see two Rajivs in the audience. So I have enabled the audio setting for Rajiv VJ because I think he has some follow-up questions. So Rajiv VJ, if you would want to go live, just please unmute yourself and you can ask the question directly. Okay,
Rajiv?
maybe we have a
No,
shy kid, but I'll put his question to you. Are
please.
any extra courses necessary for a CPL?
No, actually no, because extra courses in the sense that will be eventually a part of you getting employed. Okay, so CPL is just the license aspect. The major aspect that comes along with it is medicals. There are two stages of medicals that a pilot has to go through. First one is called the class 2 medical, and the highest medical that you can have is called the class 1 medical. As of today, even I have a class 1 medical that I renew every year. Class 2 and class 1 initial medicals are more comprehensive into the depth that they check the whole body, in terms of your heart, in terms of your eyesight, in terms of the overall health of you. And so a CPL goes along with a medical and a few other licenses that are required. So that's the overall package that you can actually give to the airline, and that's when they choose you as a co-pilot with them. There is a special license that you require to operate the radio on the aircraft. It's called the radio telephony license. So that has got a different procedure to go through to acquire that license. So these are not courses, but these are, I must say, these are supporting licenses to your CPL that you will require to have. That's the bare minimum. There is since India's primary language is not English, you have to go through a ELP. It's called the English Language Proficiency License. Now, every country has got a different accent. Every country does not have the first language as English. So all around the world, you have this ELP exam that you have to go through. It all talks about your vocabulary, it talks about your speech, it talks about your pronunciations, and that on basis of that, you are issued a ELP license. That can be dependent on how good are you with spoken English, and you have given grades. So it can be valid for 3 years, 6 years, or lifetime. So you can get a lifetime ELP as well. So you don't have to ever renew it. So these licenses do come with longer validities, but these are a part of your CPL that you will need to go through. So these are additional courses. And of course, the Flying Club, Flying Institute, or the Aviation Academy that you would be approaching to get your CPL will actually assist you. The internet is to your exploration. You can actually understand about these basic licenses along with your CPL that you require to get done.
Okay. Thanks for that, Anubhav. I know we have hit the clock in terms of 12:30, but do you have few more minutes? Can we
I'm
continue?
absolutely available, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for
Okay.
asking. Yeah.
And to the students out here, if you can stay on for a few more minutes, I think we would want to also cover a couple of questions.
Yeah.
And again, there is another one from Rajiv. So I'm asking on his behalf. Is there any other alternative in aviation space with CPL license, just in case the pilot opportunities take time?
Yes. So as I was coming to the drawbacks or the challenges in aviation, this is actually a major challenge as well. Just like, to look at it, it's a license. The license holds value only in this industry. For the outside world, outside aviation, the CPL licenses gives you no credit in any other field. Because you being a pilot would not help you in information technology, rather in architecture, rather in something mechanical or electric. So I mean, that's one of the drawbacks too. And now there comes one more dilemma, that if you do this license, you acquire this license right after you're 12. And as Rajiv put it very nicely, that's a very well thought question, that what if the opportunities get delayed or cease to exist for a certain amount of time? Now, for the outside world, all you are is a 12 pass. So this is a big drawback about it. So now there's an investment involved. There are lesser opportunities at times. Now aviation is extremely booming. India is one of the largest markets for aviation. That is a good part. But then there have been tougher times, something like a COVID that happened, and we know what happened during then. So if something unfortunate or unforeseen takes place, then for the outside world, sadly, your CPL is of no use. So thankfully, the better part to this is a CPL can be acquired anytime from 18 years of age until the age of 65. So that is the better part. So a CPL can be done even after your graduation and when you feel you are ready to take it. I have a friend who actually got a CPL at the age of 58. Okay. And I have friends who have got it at the age of 18 as well. And everyone, fortunately, is flying with a leading airline carrier. So there is no stopping. There is nothing stopping you, provided you are medically fit. You can get the other subsequent licenses along with your CPL. You meet the minimum requirements. CPL is CPL is achievable. So what people have done is they have waited it out for a few more years, probably when they are into their 20s. They have got a bachelor's degree or even if a master's degree to have a backup. Aviation is getting better by the day, but so are pilots increasing in numbers. So uh, till the time the industry is booming, it's going all well. But then, uh, just to concise and answer the question, the CPL is sadly not of any use or does not hold any weightage outside aviation.
Got it, Anubhav. But I think his question was primarily, is there any alternative in aviation space itself with CPL license?
No, man, because CPL is clearly a flying license. So once you're out of the cockpit, a CPL sadly will hold no value either. Because if you want to get onto a managerial role, that would require you to acquire some other skill set, some other study to understand that role better. And CPL itself is of it's not going to help.
Okay.
So, I mean, uh, if you could be specific about a job, still a minimum requirement to get a job will not be CPL for sure because it is purely and purely a flying license.
Got it. So I
Yes.
hope that answers your question, Rajiv. And Tanmay, I don't want you to be uh, felt left out. So I'll take your question as the last question. And that was actually one of the questions within my repository as well.
Hmm?
So we have been hearing a lot about artificial intelligence impacting different industry.
Yeah.
So here Tanmay has asked, just like we have driverless cars, do we also see pilotless planes happening?
Yeah. So, very interesting question, and that is the talk of the town of late. Artificial intelligence and robots and technology going to new heights. So yes, pilotless maybe in distant future, but like as I said, Airbus is a French manufacturer of the world's leading airplanes. They're actually trying out single pilot operations. So the aircraft will have only one pilot because the technology has reached such redundancies. They have such backups. They have such kind of uh, procedures that are in place that will take care of aircraft systems, aircraft non-normal situations by itself, that they are ready to take the next step and have a single pilot of aircraft. Though it has been looked down upon by pilot unions and the experts in the industry, saying that no, there is more research to be needed to be done. But since this idea has floated already, that we can actually have a single pilot aircraft rather than two pilots in the cockpit, they are working towards a single pilot. So, looking at that, it is just getting better in terms of technology. And then down the line, in a few decades, I see maybe you can look at an pilotless aircraft too. So it'll just be a bigger drone, I can say. Like today, a drone is flown from a remote by somebody sitting somewhere. And similarly, eventually, maybe an aircraft could be flown the similar way. So it can be a possibility. I'm sure there's a lot of data on the internet as of today, but commercially looking at what is actually actively happening is airlines, aircraft manufacturers are looking at single pilot operations. So, well, you never know. Yeah, it might take place a few years from now. It'll take a while, but it is clearly not. Say it is actually in process. I must say.
Great. Thanks so much.
Single pilot to pilotless. Yeah, it can take place. Yeah.
Got it. Thanks, Anubhav. And I hope Tanmay and all the other students that, and it's not to scare you, but you get the realistic picture as such. I am thoroughly enjoying the conversation, but I am also conscious of the time as well. So maybe before I ask few basic fun rapid fire questions,
Yeah.
I would also want to ask if there is any final piece of advice for the students who are considering this profession. Though through your responses, I think that will give them a lot of food for thought to think about it. But any advice specifically to the students, and as I said, there are parents as well, even for parents too, that would be really helpful, Anubhav, before we get into our rapid fire.
Yes, ma'am. So, in general, talking about aviation, oh, there's a lot of cost involved. Oh, then you will have fewer opportunities. Airlines are changing their dynamics every day. After I finish a CPL, I don't have the CPL does not hold value in outside aviation. Will I get a job or not? All these factors do sound a little concerning. But let me tell you, there are more opportunities. You can always pursue a helicopter's pilot license. It's called the CHPL. So you can fly helicopters. Those are rotor aircrafts, which are helicopters, and there are fixed wing aircraft, which are aircrafts that we know of. So there are alternative opportunities. Helicopters generally fly in general aviation. They don't fly for airlines as such, but there are scheduled operators which fly helicopters as well. In general aviation, you have private aircrafts, you have private jets, charter jets, smaller, bigger in size. Government has a lot of aircrafts to themselves. The industry has got industrialists and businessmen who have aircrafts to them. There are private companies which fly charter aircrafts. So opportunities do diversify in those aspects too. So just to give you a little fact about jobs in aviation, as you said, X number of pilots will be required in the future, in the next 10 years or 15 years. As I said, jobs for pilots is clearly proportional to the number of aircrafts being ordered. So just to give you a fair idea, Air India has got about 5,570 aircrafts on order, which are to be delivered to Air India. So 570 aircraft does create an opportunity for over 5,000 pilots for jobs. Indigo, on the other hand, the biggest carrier in terms of operations all around the world, it's got about 1,000 aircrafts on order, 1,000. Akasa has got over 250 aircrafts on order. So that, if you summarize, looking at the future prospects of aviation, that is a great news for pilots, because there will be opportunities for pilots in terms of jobs. So that is the best part about even Indian aviation. 10 years ago, probably that was not what aviation was about, because airlines like Kingfisher, Jet actually shut. So that created a stopgap between aviation, because experienced pilots were left unemployed. So the airlines hired those experienced pilots, and the new pilots never got opportunities to get onto an airline. But now things have changed. Post COVID, airlines have seen a huge demand for travel, and that is helping airlines order more airplanes and create more jobs. So there is general aviation, there is commercial aviation. everything is booming. Everyone is ordering aircrafts. The demand for travel is increasing by the day. So that gives you a relief that, of course, there are going to be jobs in the market and things are only getting better. For parents, I think first and foremost factor that comes into consideration is the cost involved, because of course the parents are the one bearing the cost. Alternatively, there are loans available, but then I don't think there is specific anything specific to an aviation CPL that the banks know of in terms of loans. So then you will have to actually get a personal loan for a CPL if you intend to. So the cost is what I would talk to the parents about, is that the cost is a little high in terms of a career which is so restrictive only to aviation, and that to pilot flying. So one good thing is that now the airlines are coming up with cadet programs. So they actually choose someone who is 18 years of age, and they go through the process of CPL. They get you trained on the bigger aircraft like a Boeing on an Airbus or an ATR, what they are flying. And then eventually they offer you a job as well. So that is a very structured way of becoming a co-pilot in a leading airline. As of today, Indigo and Air India offer a cadet program. So, I mean, everyone who is here should take a note of this, that the cadet pilot program is a great opportunity for you to start from scratch under the guidance of a leading airline and eventually end up with a job with them. Of course, there are some cases, it's not a guarantee to the 100%, but the success rate of such programs are above 97%. Like if they have 100 students chosen to go through a cadet program, the numbers are 97, 98 pilots have got jobs with the airline. But of course, it's not going to be that easy, because it will come with a cost involved. So now if you're looking at a regular CPL that costs you about, sorry, am I visible? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I just put up the slides. You can
Okay.
go
Okay.
on, please.
Yeah. So for the pilots, for the parents, that the regular cost involved in a CPL would be ranging to about 60 to 70 lakh rupees. But whereas if you go through a cadet program that is supervised by the airline, will cost you over 1 crore rupees. The numbers are out in the open on the internet. The cadet program is currently active for Indigo and Air India too. You can get further details on the airline specific websites. But yes, so it's all about the cost involved. And that is what parents should take a note of.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Anubhav. I am getting few more questions, but in the
Sure.
interest of time, I might not go ahead with all. But you
Yeah.
can, students, you can maybe reach out to me, just send a message on our official number, and maybe I can pass it on to Anubhav. And once I get some response from him, either me or
Mhm.
someone from my team will get back to you. Okay. So
Mhm.
let's just begin with rapid fire, and I might ask just like two quick questions and then we may conclude. So, Anubhav, which is your favorite airport in India?
In India, I think it has to be in terms of the complexity. I like it because the kind of operations they do is just amazing, and that has to be Mumbai. A very odd choice for a favorite airport, but all I try to see that the airport is getting so restrictive in terms of operations, because they are limited in terms of runway. They just have one runway in use at a time, and the terminal buildings are getting insufficient for the people traveling in and out of Mumbai every day. Now they're coming with a new airport too. But Mumbai has set records over and over, time and again, in terms of aircraft operations. And with a single runway in a major city all around the world, it is recognized as a major city all around the world. Mumbai actually handles close to about 1,000 takeoffs and landings every day. And that's a big, big achievement. With all the delays, with the weather, with everything coming around, Mumbai has always been very interesting in terms of operations. So I think I like Mumbai in general.
Okay.
Yes.
What do you enjoy more, night flights or day flights?
Uh, I like night flights because they're quieter, and sometimes in the day I like and the day flights get a little too exhaustive in terms of the sun and maybe with long stretch of working hours. But the night flights are more peaceful. There is lesser traffic in terms of aircrafts too. So I like night flying, and I have been used to flying wide body earlier, which used to invariably take off and land in the night. So maybe that's a personal choice. I like the night better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Anubhav. With that, I think we are coming to the closure of our interesting and insightful conversation today. I feel that I am much more knowledgeable and have greater insights about this profession after this conversation. And I'm pretty sure the students and the parents also resonate with it. So, thank you so much for spending your hour today with us. Together with your busy schedule, I know it can get little exhausting, and I'm taking time from your rest schedule. So thank you so much for doing it for us.
I'm more than happy. Thank you, Surbi, for this opportunity. And as you said, a few more questions that were actually have been unanswered. If they can actually connect with you and send it across to you, maybe we can talk about them, and I'll be more than happy to help on that as well.
Sure. So that's again the message for the audience. Just send it on our official number, and someone from my team will send it to me and Anubhav. Then I can share it with you. Maybe you can send a voice note or just a message.
Absolutely.
That's what we can do. And
Yeah.
thank you, all the students and parents, once again. Just keep a watch on our YouTube channel, our other social media, channels as well, and handles too. You will get to hear more from us in terms of the other career awareness webinars, other career awareness sessions, and we also host a lot of admission insight session where we invite the admissions officers from varied universities to talk directly to our students and the parents. So spread the word about us, our services, and how it can benefit you as well. So once again, have a good rest of your Sunday, and bye till we meet next.
Thank you, and
Bye,
goodbye,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye,
Thank you.
Anubhav.
Bye bye.